Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-host, Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Christopher G. Mohr, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing The Cursed, streaming now on HULU. Yeah. All right, joining me tonight is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff Mohr, how you doing, sir?
I am doing great. This is one of those movies, for me anyway.
8 for silver. All right. Also joining us tonight is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Other than it's really hard to look at myself right now since I'm kind of like in slow motion. It's like
we're like moving.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool. Like maybe
it is.
Maybe someone just needs to be on something
you're
to watch.
You're in a time distortion.
There you go. There you go.
It's Star Trek. It's
All right. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. I haven't been sleeping well. I keep having these nightmares about silver dentures. I don't know why. But other than that, I'm doing good.
Silver dentures.
I got pieces of branches coming out of my back. I don't know what's up with that.
Scarecrows, yeah.
Yes, yes. The branches. You need to do something about that. All right. What we're going to do tonight is explain all the stuff we're talking about. We're going to review The Cursed. We're going to start off by giving you our first impressions. That will be spoiler free. Then we're going to dive into discussion on the film, and we will get into spoilers. And then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And we hope you enjoy not only this review, but others that we have on the site. And you like that? And if you do, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share with a friend, and we will be extraordinarily happy. Just look at Christopher. See how happy he is?
Are you starring in the new Police Academy movie?
with like the sounds.
Yes, it's the worst version episode of it. Yeah. All right. So let's get into the card and get this ball rolling, shall we? All right. The Cursed, playing on HULU, beginning July 18th, 2022, written and directed by Sean Ellis. The cast includes Boyd Holbrook, Kelly Riley, Alistair Petrie, Roxanne Duran, Nigel Betts, and Stuart Bauman. Synopsis: in rural 19th century France, a mysterious, possibly supernatural menace threatens a small village. John McBride, a pathologist, comes to town to investigate the danger and exorcise some of his own demons in the process.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum. All right, let's find out what our first impressions are. Jesser, you are up first.
I love this movie.
Ah!
This will, without a doubt, be in my top 10 this year. Maybe top 5, maybe better. I don't know. I liked everything about it. I loved the folk horror. I loved the sort of the historical anchor they gave to it, and how another one, that we just talked about this, but I like the kind of loop back around and full circle of the opening scene to the ending of the movie. The cinematography I thought was great, and interestingly enough, the writer-director is also the cinematographer. So I don't know how you do all that, but anyway. And the effects, I thought, worked really well and were unveiled in a way that kept me really intrigued without feeling like they were hiding something from me, Little pieces of it, a little bit more, until, oh my God. Anyway. I loved it. I really loved it. There might have been one acting performance I quibbled just a hair with, but otherwise I thought it was great. It's very minor. If I talked myself into it, I probably would change my mind.
Christopher G. Mohr, sir, what was your first impression of The Cursed?
Yeah, I really like this. This is a really well crafted film. It's a period piece, and but yet it has the story it tells almost crafts a different spin on certain horror mythology with certain. Anyway, I won't go into it more than that. But it's the creature design is amazing, and some of the special effects are really cool. Yeah, it has, I don't know, it has a little bit of a Sleepy Hollow vibe for me.
Yeah.
With the pathologist, who's going around looking at these dead bodies and stuff. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think there's a few places where I yelled at the screen. Because, yeah, if there's a creature in your house, why are you leaving your door cracked open?
Yeah, yeah.
Things like that just made me mad. And there's certain decisions certain characters make, especially towards the end, that I think are stupid. So that was the only thing that kind of took me out of the film when it came to the story. But overall, it's really well crafted. It's really well shot. There's one scene, and as a filmmaker, it blew my mind. There's one scene that's shot as one well-framed shot with everything happening within the frame, and they had to coordinate that with people catching on fire and all that stuff. Everybody was
that was a one-take deal. It almost had to be, right?
One take. So I don't know how many times they had to do that, but you have people shooting people and people catching on fire and it all, and you watching, and you could look anywhere and see different parts of it being acted out from the beginning to the end, and it's so well done. And also it shows that even back in the old days, they took horrible selfies of themselves. So yeah, Cursed, I think, is a really well done film that has some really sort of some cool creature effects and some cool haunting visuals. I don't think I've ever seen a film where horses were on fire. So there's some really great moments in this that really stand out, and it even has like more supernatural stuff which I really wasn't expecting either, or at least when it comes to, I guess, nightmare type stuff. Yeah. So anyway, I thought this is a well crafted film that I think more people need to know about.
Yeah, I would say that even though that horse scene that you just mentioned with them on fire is incredibly brief, it is shocking and effective, and maybe a trigger for some people.
It may be that, if you love animals, maybe that might be a little bit tricky.
You might not like that scene. Crystal, how you doing? What's your first impression of The Cursed?
I loved it too. I mean, I think that there's not going to be very many people who don't like this film. I mean, it is truly a horror movie. It's original. It has some excellent cinematography, and it has a ton of gore. So, like, it kind of has something for everyone. It has some really cool concepts and ideas. So it's kind of sad. I will say that. It was a little depressing at points, and I really did hate some of the choices that some of the people in the movie made. But it is what it is. I don't want to give anything away, but some of it I was like, oh, I love that. But there is, it's not even a slow burn, not really, because I mean it starts off and it goes really quickly, and it's pretty well spelled out. I was a little confused as to whether the coins and the teeth were two separate things. I was a little confused on that. I didn't quite understand the teeth, but I didn't care either. It's neat. It's neat, and it has a lot of cool things. And I like the whole viral type of thing that's with it as well. It's got a little bit for everyone, I think. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed this as well quite a bit. It's a creature feature, and those are my favorite. I love, if not a haunted house, a creature feature, and if you were to mix them together, that's my favorite. Conjuring, thank you. I would add to what you were saying, Crystal, that the locales, from the house to the fields to the church to everything that's involved, it transported me back to that time. In a really, really interesting way. I'd never questioned that these were actors from now, trying to be characters from then, because it takes place the turn of the century or maybe a little earlier.
Be like 1880, because it says 35 years earlier from World War One, the Battle of the Somme.
Okay, so it'd be in the
I
1880s.
think that was 1917 or 18. So
Yeah. All right. So it very much feels in that time, and I really enjoyed the whole aspect of it, and I enjoyed our lead character, played by Boyd Holbrook. I thought he was very interesting. And I liked the kids, and sometimes they could be very annoying. And then like I said, the creatures in here, which are our creatures, are very well realized. They feel like they're practical with maybe a little CGI enhancing, but they are very effective. And that in a film like that can be the make or break, right? If it's not handled well. So I will say thumbs up for this. I liked it, and I think will it be in my top 10? There's a good chance.
Wow,
There's a good chance of that, John.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see it. I mean, like I said, there's some good gore. I was like pretty shocked when they attacked the gypsies, and then this. I just was, my mind was blown when they. Since we're in spoilers, right?
We are in spoilers, yes.
When they turned him into a scarecrow, I was like, "Oh my god, I love it! It's so crazy." Brutal. Yeah, it was brutal, but it was like, wow, that was really clever and creative and weird and creepy and
then it kind of informs the rest of the film and reappears throughout the film. Really, really well done to get that creepiness going.
Well, but even the opening thing in the war where they're chopping limbs off and they have a whole bucket of limbs. I mean, from the get-go, they're not shying away from the gore at all.
No.
You know,
I was honestly shocked at how gory it was. Like,
and they
considering
pulled the bullets out too, right?
Yeah, or even like when that first kid gets attacked and his arm gets like.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Holy crap! I was like, wow, they're just not.
I think it's a kid, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of films would shy away from it, especially if it's a kid getting injured or whatever. But
well, and it'd be cheaper too to like show the surgeon from the elbows up,
Well, yeah, but I mean this.
Without showing the actual thing or the kid's arm, yeah.
Well, and this one they definitely didn't shot. They definitely did use their money, when it comes to special effects, because again, regardless of the gore stuff, when we get to the creature effects and the creature design, there's some really thought. I know I'm there's a little bit of CGI in there in parts, but some of the creature design and the use of that really, really worked. And I love. I mean, I felt. I didn't want to mention it earlier because people haven't seen it, but this feels like a new version of the werewolf mythology,
Yeah.
Where it's a hairless werewolf, but the creature is almost like it's something more cat-like, I guess, in some ways, and it's almost like this, like the Dr. Evil's hairless cat type thing, monster.
But really big.
but also the whole like I almost very Thing-ish. And the way that the vines wrap around you and turn you on almost like into cocoon to become this monster, and the part where they cut open the monster and the girl, comes out.
Oh yeah, like the autopsy, like
it's very The Thing. And I never thought we would ever get that sort of feeling of The Thing again. That gave me Thing vibes in that one scene. But yeah, I think it's really well crafted, and even like because a lot of times when you have creatures, you don't have the money to really, show it full length and stuff, but the way that they show parts of it where it's
the foot first freaked me out.
Or even the very end scene towards a church when you see it coming out of that fog or the darkness and stuff. I was like, oh crap! I think even I would probably crap my pants if I saw that first thing. So yeah, whoever created that stuff with also combining the CGI elements with that really worked really well in this film.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I don't understand exactly because, it is a different take on the werewolf mythology, but it's not like the person wasn't the werewolf. They were like inside the, like this other thing grew out around them or something, that was, and so I don't quite understand it, but hey, it's a curse. And
Yeah,
it
the only thing that
involves Judas's 30 pieces of
there you
silver.
go.
So,
Which,
is that too big a spoiler?
that might be no, not really. But I would say there is a character that does air quotes transform back into a person.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so
True.
what I'm thinking though is I think the reason why that could be is because he was killed on hollow ground.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of
The
reasons.
creature was killed.
It could have been the silver.
hollow
It could have
ground.
been the revenge was done. There was a lot of reasons why that could have happened.
Yeah, that had me a little bit because I don't think it was, and then it made the whole thing with the mom just stupid. She got in the middle of that, and so things
Yeah.
like that kind of just irritated me when it came to decisions. But yeah, I mean, but the mythology of it, they did a similar thing with Dracula 2000, I think.
Oh my God, yes,
where
with
they
the whole
tied
like he
in,
was Judas.
the Judas type aspect of it. So I did like that they tie in the religious aspect of it, and then how you use the silver to create teeth, and so you can curse people, but then also you can take that and turn it into silver bullets, which we normally associate, of course, with werewolf lore. So I did like that. Again, I love it when they can put their own spin and almost create their own kind of weird mythology around things, and this worked really well. It was like, oh, this is such a cool, interesting story, and also just having like an old timey CSI guy coming in, without taking his sunglasses off and saying something cheeky. But I did like that aspect of it because we're sort of used to seeing that in general, and we had a little bit. Of course, that's why I mentioned the Sleepy Hollow. I feel like this
you
has
felt
that
like that
Sleepy
guy.
Hollow,
Yeah.
that sort of period piece, guy who body examiner type person. But he's also using science and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of it's. Although I kept wondering, like, why isn't he not getting attacked when he's out?
But he's also
setting
like a Van
traps and
Helsing
stuff.
too. Well,
he is that.
He mentioned one thing that his rifle, I think, had silver on it, and that's how he found somebody's had silver on it, and he found out that these creatures didn't like the silver. Did I imagine that? Did that not happen?
I'm not.
Yes,
sure.
they were
I
sensing
don't-
that he had. Yeah, he did say something like that.
Yeah.
Like they sensed that he had the silver bullet, and they ran away from it.
Okay.
But then why did they have the silver teeth? I don't understand. I'm so confused about that.
That imparts the curse.
That
Yeah.
creates the curse, but you can also
Well,
be
yeah,
killed by
I get
the same
that,
silver.
but okay, seems
'Cause,
odd.
It does seem odd, but it in context of this, I think it worked. I was totally into it, and
Yeah, I didn't have any question any of that stuff. It was just like, this is cool.
but I will say I also liked how they brought in elements of that time in society, like when these two guys visit. One of them is our lead guy, and he's got the guy that brings them, and the daughter is trying to sing that song, and she's really bad on purpose. I mean, it's part of the story, but they have the two maids, they're standing there,
Yes.
and that you could just tell that they hate that, and it was just so amazing. I was like, look at them. They're like, oh, because they have to stand there and tour it. They didn't want.
Although, was I the only person that thought when that maid got attacked, did she go and just clean those sheets again?
I think so. Like,
No, she
what
cleaned
the
her
hell?
dress. She cleaned her dress. Her sheets were still out there because
okay.
John McBride, the Boyd character.
Yeah,
Boyd's
he
character,
sees them.
He sees
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, yeah. I didn't know that he
just
actually
making
saw.
I kind of missed that because for some reason in my head I had that she's hurting in pain, but yet she's still washing the blood out of the sheets.
No, she was trying to do it off of her clothes, but the guy comes in, he goes, "Are you feeling unwell?" That's all he cares.
God,
And then that's all he
yes.
cares, and he walks away. It's like, dude.
I felt bad for her because
Me too.
We should probably mention Kelly Riley in this.
Oh, yeah, of
from,
course.
Yellowstone.
Okay.
She's the evil daughter Beth or not evil daughter, but the
In Yellowstone, right?
hard ass daughter in Yellowstone.
Yeah. And who does she play in this? Let everybody know.
The landowner's wife,
Yes.
who created the whole situation.
Yes.
The whole situation at the end.
The
The
landowner, the
whole-
landowner created the whole.
The,
whole
the landowner did,
situation.
okay, but she didn't. She didn't.
No,
She
no.
didn't. No.
All right,
No.
I heard your sentence.
Sorry, I didn't use my pronouns properly.
I like the witch aspect of it, or the gypsies. I took them as witches, but they were gypsies, right?
Yes.
And I loved how they kept returning in the nightmares. I usually groan when a film scares you with a nightmare because it feels so trite and overused. But I thought in here, in
I
the
feel like they
context
had
of
a
the story,
purpose.
it really worked. Yeah, I think it really
Yeah.
worked here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like when you got there's too many nightmares, it gets old, but this didn't to me. It was.
I mean, if you're
and I
not doing
knew
Nightmare on
exactly
Elm
what was
Street,
going
you shouldn't be doing Nightmare.
on. Yeah.
Well, but I think because it's integral to the story that all the people in this town are having these nightmares, and then that's
they
why
were
they
different,
sort of
yeah.
and they all like sort of found that connection by the end. I mean, that's when it came. But yeah, then you have almost like pretty iconic looking type individual ones, whether it's the scarecrow face guy who turned his head, or that one where he's above his wife and child and he's like, oh, come with me.
No, that
Yeah.
was.
That was cool.
or
That was
even
one of
with
my favorites.
Or even with the gypsies like floating.
That was early, and that was incredibly creepy when the kid sees her floating, and he just screams. Oh my god!
Or even when they're digging, you see that her head in the dirt. Just very, very creepy. And again, you go into this thinking, oh, it's about some kind of cursed monster creature or whatever, and then you have like the nightmare stuff. Okay, this is extra icing on the cake.
Yep. And there's a lot for horror fans to love. You got the creatures themselves. You've got that autopsy scene, and then of course the big shenanigans at the end.
When I got done watching it, I just remember feeling like this is a big movie. This is not like big budget or big anything. It just, I don't know what it was. It was complete. There was a lot of different parts. I liked the continuation of the storylines. And I feel bad for bringing up the silver now, but what happens after this event takes place, and all of that just sort of fed my need for a complete circle, I guess, to explain everything and the historical context. I don't know. I just loved it.
Well, yeah. When I was watching it, it opens with like a war scene, and I was like, what is the budget on this? Because this is like Spielberg
There's
level.
a bunch of people in there,
yeah. This is a Spielberg level. I mean, maybe some of that might be special effects, if you don't want to have that many people. But I was really surprised by the level of production design and elements that made this like almost like a big budget period piece type movie. Because that's why a lot of horror indie filmmakers don't do period pieces, because you don't have the money for costuming, you don't have the money for like production design, or like how many different old-timey weapons they used. You don't have the ability to do that, and there's so many elements of this, like whether it's the house or that whole the grapevine or whatever those things were, the vines or whatever, all that stuff. I was like, wow, this is like so high level. I mean, I will say, if I have one major critique other than just the idiotic decisions characters make for no stupid reason, I thought the end battle in the church was kind of sloppy. There was like was some shots that didn't really connect properly. That seemed a little bit scattered.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
But I think that's the only thing that I could probably, if I want to say critique, there was parts where you go from one shot to not, and it didn't really land. Like the thing would hit, and you see a blood splatter, and a lot of that stuff, even though it's supposed to be frenetic.
That was probably in the editing, though, right?
Yeah, that's more about the editing. To me, the editing
I guess I didn't notice
didn't
it.
sell it. And again, sometimes they do that because it's supposed to be crazy and frenetic, and they do shaky camera and stuff. But for me, the editing just didn't sell it as much. But there's other parts of that work. Just if I wanted to critique it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Jeff, sir, you are up first.
Yeah, so I don't know what else to say other than I liked almost everything about it. I too remember thinking, shut the freaking door.
I know.
But, you know, then I just chose to think, well, maybe he shut it and I didn't see it, you know, because when she comes out of the door, it seems to me like she has to open it. But anyway, I enjoyed the heck out of this, and the visuals are stunning. The fog, and I was thinking Crystal's got to be going nuts. The mist and the
You
fog,
know, I love those fog machines. Yep.
And how graphically gory it was, but yet realistic. I think, you know, not that I've seen those things, but it didn't feel like it was over the top. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I'm waffling on since I get to go first. I'm taking the dissection monster dissection.
Oh, the autopsy.
Yes, gotta take that. Otherwise, but there's probably a dozen scenes in this movie I could put in that were just going, what am I looking at? So my waffling is
Let's it go together, folks. Drum roll, if you please.
I'm trying to think. What did I not like? I've seen it twice, so you know what? I'm going to give it a 5.
Oh, wow!
I watched it a couple of weeks ago on Chad's recommendation. I paid I don't know. I think I paid $4 or something like that. It wasn't a lot to watch it, and then when I saw we were going to review it, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I probably watched it a month ago. I don't know. So watching it the second time, I was even more engrossed.
Nice.
It didn't pale at all, and there was, you know, I have a hard time multitasking when I'm watching a movie. So I usually just watch it. I'm just a spectator, and I'm just going along, and if it excites emotions and things, I'm good with that. But the second time through, I'm really trying to look at like shot construction and the cinematography and the way things are connect. I don't know. And you know, when Chris talked about that battle scene, that was amazing. I thought that the second time through, I was like, how the heck did they do that? Because they burned the hell out of everything. So that would be a tough thing to shoot over. So, and it was all one take and all kinds of different, they all had their little acting scenario to go on. So anyway, I'm rambling, but I love this. And if you're a horror fan, you need to go watch this movie.
Yes. Christopher, your final thoughts, your score, your favorite scene.
Yeah, this film is a really well crafted period piece. Again, if you have Hulu, go check it out, because this is. I was really shocked because I really want to find out what the budget on this was, because
I think it was high. It
must have had to have some kind of budget, because this is not like some. I think Blumhouse couldn't do this, because there's too much. Mm-hmm. There's too much. I mean, even just the war scene alone.
There's so many people. Yeah.
And it has so many people and so many outfits. You even have like the war stuff where things are blowing up and stuff, and so just that alone would have cost a fortune. So, but again, I shouldn't complain, because I think this is a really well done film that I wish more people would see. I know it showed in the theaters, but yeah, I think the acting's great. I think the story, I love it when you can create your own set of interesting mythology, even though it might have a little bit of the werewolf mythology in it, but they really tell their own interesting story throughout. And again, we always love when they can create a new creature type thing, and they really create something unique and interesting, and how it's created and how it, which dissection scene just adds that extra level of like WTF as to what the heck this thing is. Or even the part where the girl falls in the water.
Yes.
And the branches and stuff come out of her back and wrap around her. It's like it's horrible and gorgeous at the same time. So there's some really beautiful scenery. I mean, again, like I mentioned earlier, there's a scene where the house is on fire and these horses that come out of the stable are on fire, and it's like, it's horrible, but it's actually weirdly beautiful, and just the framing of it, So yeah, this is a well-crafted, well-shot, well-acted film with production value that's out the wazoo when it comes to different things. It's up there with like Sleepy Hollow and just how they recreate that time period, but also add the extra elements, of the supernatural and creatures effects and stuff. Kudos to the people who did the creature stuff, on the visual effects as well as the practical effects. I'd love to have that creature. I'd love to have like a life-size version of that creature, just scare people off my lawn.
Oh my gosh, I would.
But as for rating, I will say again, I had issues with the characters' motivations, and I think, if anything, this movie, the theme of this movie is moms have favoritism, which get them killed. So don't be favorites.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's her favorite. It just means that that's the one that needs her help at that moment.
Yeah, but if she made different decisions, she could have had both her children, and she'd be alive.
Fair enough.
But anyway, but again, we talked. I mentioned about the door. I mean, that happens actually more than once, because their kid gets maimed and he runs into the shack and he just leaves the door open. So it's like,
yeah, I know.
These stupid idiots. I just kept getting mad. Their stupid decisions. Everybody kept running away from stuff. They wouldn't help. Oh, I'm just gonna let my brother to be bitten by this kid, and I'm just gonna run off. Oh, mommy! It's like, oh. Anyway, that's just more of a character flaw. As for favorite scene,
I mean, you've mentioned every scene in the movie practically, so
which am I gonna pick? Put your bets down. I'm gonna go with something that didn't involve editing.
Oh,
I will say the long shot of them destroying the gypsy
Village?
group or whatever.
Camp. I guess it was a camp. Yeah.
You could watch that several times and see something different, because there's so much going on. I think my favorite, I don't know how to say it's a favorite part because it's horrible, but there's a part where this one guy accidentally catches on fire. The person comes out and puts him out, and then somebody shoots him.
yeah.
It's like, oh, all right, and you see these people trying to run away, and there's, because not only you have people running around, but you have people on horses.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much going on, and they had to choreograph all that. They had to plan that out, and I want to know how many times they had to shoot that. I mean, I hope they didn't have to shoot it more than a couple of times, because that is a huge endeavor. And as a filmmaker, that hurts my brain, but also excites my brain, because they were able to pull that off in one long shot. And there's things like that really show the artistry, the cool way that they told the story, to where it's not like this MTV cut. They could have easily done an MTV cutting back and forth. Probably more what they did in the sort of the last church scene, but they could have done that more. But to me, it's more impactful because you're watching a thing. But yeah, although I will say, F those people who took a selfie with those dead bodies. That's horrible. They deserve to die.
They're like, let's take another.
I know. To me, that just showed you, like, Instagram didn't need to be around for idiots to be taking pictures of themselves.
That completely rang true to me. I mean,
well, no, I believe they do that, because people do that now with. I know someone that took pictures of from war of burnt bodies and stuff, and we're happy at that. So, I mean, there's horrible people that do that kind of stuff, So I could see them totally doing that and having the picture, putting it up there almost like you put like a elephant's head on your wall, And it's really, really horrible, to where it's like you almost don't feel bad for those people being cursed.
There's a reason why they're cursing you.
Yeah.
You feel. Did you give us a score? Did I miss it?
No.
Oh, I didn't. I'll give it 4.5. Sorry.
4.5. I like that.
That's good.
Crystal, how you doing?
Okay. Good.
What's your final thoughts? Your score? Your favorite scene?
Well, I mean, I pretty much, I'm echoing the sentiments of my co-host there. I think it's wonderful. I think that it's got a little bit for everyone. I mean, even the gore hounds. I think this movie is not at all what I expected it to be from a period piece. A lot of times these films decide to be more artsy fartsy, but but this one is, it is still that. It's beautiful, but it's not, it didn't decide to be afraid. So I really think it's pretty wonderful. It's very unique to me in that regard. And the gore was done really well. And sometimes the cuts come so like it goes from one thing to that so fast. It's like, whoa, it's a little jarring, and I think that was intentional. I'm gonna give it a 4.25.
Nice.
Yeah. It's probably gonna be my top 10 too. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I know I mentioned it, but I don't care. It really blew my mind. The whole scarecrow thing. I was like, I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, it's horrible,
they
but I
chopped
loved
off their
it.
hands and feet and
then shoved
the coat with straw.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, let's put your coat on. Like, I didn't understand what they were going to do. I had no idea where they were going with this. With the whole coat thing. They're like, you're going to be out here for a long time. And I was like, are they just... At first, I thought they were going to, like, crucify him. Or it's... And I think that partially... I think that was like reminiscent of that. Like they were meaning it to be like that with the whole, religious connection. But yeah, it's wonderful, really.
Excellent. Yeah, I enjoyed it. We don't get enough of these. I'm going to call this a werewolf film, even though it is a werewolf film. It is. It's not your traditional werewolf film. It's trying to spin a new take on it, and I appreciate that greatly. And I love werewolf films, and we don't get enough.
I do too.
And we don't get enough, and when we do, we don't get really good ones. Sorry, whoever made those films. But I think this is exceptional. This is extraordinary, and there's not enough people talking about this movie.
Yeah.
This is really an achievement. From the acting to the special effects, from cinematography to the shots to the direction to the all of it, the clothes, everything about it is really well done. I would love to have seen this in the theater. This would have been a fun experience. I don't know if it would work for the general public. I think this is
because it's really gory for
was it a limited release or something.
There was a limited release in February. Yes.
Yeah, because it played at the Alamo here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like $4.5 million is what it was listed at, and I never saw it around here, but doesn't mean it wasn't.
$4.5 million. It made $4.5 million.
It made $4.5 million.
That's good.
And I wish I had taken the time to go over to Alamo and seen it. I just didn't know. So we're telling you, I think, all four of us to go see this. See this film.
Yeah.
On Hulu. It's still wonderful, right? So. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It sucked me in. The war scene, as interesting as it is, didn't suck me in. But as soon as it got into the 1891, I looked it up. It's 1891. When we were talking about this. So when it got to that point, I really got into it. And once everything came together and our characters, the characters that were traveling got to that village and the story came together. I thought it was great, and the mythology it builds is really wonderful and scary and creepy, and the scenes to illustrate that are, and like the autopsy scene. Oh my gosh, Jeff's scene is like, what are they doing? And it felt, like cutting. Is little Jimmy going to spill out onto the dock? I don't know. Or Timmy,
little
Timmy, whatever his name was, but
it doesn't matter.
I'm going to give this a 4.5 as well.
Good.
I am. I was going to give it a 4.25, but I talked myself into 4.5 by the time we got into it. I really enjoyed this. So it's good. It's definitely, there's got to be a lot of really good films. And there are really good films this year. And there's some coming out that, are purportedly really good. Nope. We'll see what tomorrow brings. As we're recording, my favorite scene. What is my favorite scene? Because I can't choose the autopsy scene. Here's the scene. Here's the scene we didn't talk about that impressed me. It may not be my favorite scene because I could choose any one of the monster scenes. but there's a scene in. You guys are probably wondering, like, why is the house on fire and the horses running around on fire? It's because we didn't tell you that the barn also gets on fire, and how that gets on fire is the scene that impressed me, and that's the person that's bringing all this on, the father character, right? What was his name? Let's get his name here. Seamus.
Seamus.
Oh my God,
Seamus.
Of
course.
One of the best names ever. He gets bit and stuff. Spoilers if you guys didn't know. And he sets himself on fire, and it's a great fire gag. It is so well done, and so effective, and so heartbreaking. I mean, in a way, right? I mean, it's not as heartbreaking as like his line when Timmy spell out on the dock, when he goes, "Is my son gonna be like that?" That was just like that realization that when he sees that, he's not afraid for what's in front of him. He realized, oh my God, my son's like that. And that just, this film is smart like that. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I'm kind of comparing those two scenes in that respect. But anyway, there you go. I'm going to leave it there. Yay.
That's it.
All right. Well, there you go. That's our review for The Curse. It is streaming now on Hulu. If you have Hulu, please watch it and let us know what you think. I do not think if you are a horror fan, you will be disappointed at all. You will like this film. Mm-hmm. And if you're a gore hound, you're going to like it. If you're a creature feature movie fan, you're going to like it. If you like stories that are, what else?
If you hate period pieces, you may not like it.
If you hate period pieces,
I don't know though. Like, I think people associate period pieces with slow burns and long drawn out horror movies, and I don't feel like this is. So I think it kind of fights against that.
I think there's a little bit of slow burn in the very beginning. I will say that much. But
once it gets going, though.
But once it gets going, it hits the full stride and stuff. But yeah, it does have that kind of period piece feel in certain parts. But also, it also has like a contemporary feel about it. Like I mentioned, like we have like the pathologist guy who's basically a CSI guy. Mm-hmm. So you have that sort of new fangled stuff, but old-timey version.
He's also the Van Helsing of the story.
He is that.
Yes.
He is
that. And a werewolf has never had a Van Helsing before, so that's kind of awesome.
Well, and you're getting...
Go ahead.
Well, even though it's slow burn at the beginning, but it's you're still getting hints that something's not right. Mm-hmm. Like the pathologist talks about, the thing that happened in Cavardin or something, or wherever that is.
Right.
Well, they attack the gypsies like so early. That's why I don't feel like it's a slow burn. I mean, they have the war, and then they have the attack on the gypsies, and to me, it's like I was like, holy moly! I can't believe I'm fighting saying this is a slow burn because normally I'm the one that's like, this is so slow. But it didn't. It got me right in the beginning. It got me.
There you go. All right.
That didn't come out well with my slow. Yeah, that didn't come out. It was supposed to be like a fish hook, and I was like, but it didn't work with the slow.
No, you're just burying yourself. All right, guys. Christopher, Jeff, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
It's always fun.
It's always more fun to talk about a fun movie.
Yeah.
Well, we enjoy talking about the other ones.
Bad ones too. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.